Welcome into the Beat Sessions, your place for all things music. I'm your host, Mitchell Weary. Let's talk about this new record from Bartees Strange entitled Horror. He released that on February 14th. This is the third studio album for the singer-songwriter and his follow-up to 2022's Farm to Table. And in a short span of about 5 years, Bartees really has done a fine job of establishing himself as one of the premier musical acts out there, and for good reason. There's no one that sounds like this guy. The way that he incorporates hip-hop, indie rock, country music, and electronica into his sound, the different production techniques, everything stylistically that he's doing truly makes him one of a kind. And I want to lead this thing off by saying that at its core, at its foundation, what he's doing isn't new. There's a lot of artists that are out there trying to mix up genres and trying to push art forward, and I commend them for that. But I think Bartees is one of those guys that's just doing it better. And we can go back to the dawn of humans and their ability to be creative. And I think that instinctively, it's something that any artist has always tried to do. It's tried to push their work forward to be a reflection of a changing society. George Harrison is someone that we were talking about last week. I'm going to take a little bit of a curveball here, but it'll all make sense. We were talking about him on Classic Wax, and one of the legendary things that he did was incorporating Eastern sounds, specifically the sitar, into Western music, pushing the Beatles style and even his own in his solo career later on into a wholly new direction. I'm sure that most people up until the time that George picked up that instrument had never even heard of the sitar, had no idea what it even sounded like. But it's one of the things that truly makes him so legendary. Now, I'm not bringing this up to compare Bartees to George. I think that there's that potential down the road as time goes on. It is possible. But I think that Bartees, the way that his music is reflecting a changing society, is one of the more dynamic things about his sound and about his style. And it's a reflection of who he is. He has an incredible story, an amazing upbringing, born overseas and then raised in Oklahoma. His father was in the military. Mother was an opera singer, very successful one as well. So that is certainly in some ways informing his style as well. But he's been based out of the DC, Baltimore area for a little over a decade now, I believe. Worked for the Obama administration. So he's got that little bit of background in politics. Just a personable, humble guy. He's the type of guy that I feel like you could just pull up and have a beer with him and pick his brain about anything. And he could, in return, converse about just about anything. You know, when it comes to art, he's fascinating to read in interviews, to listen in interviews. I mean, the guy cannot, he can talk about not only music, but he can talk about film, he can talk about art, fashion, really anything. He's a gearhead. And so listening to him talk about technology and incorporating that into his music as well. Working with Jack Antonoff on this record, amongst many others, Lawrence Rothman, Yves Rothman, Chris Connors, Jake Bowman, just to name a few. I could probably spend the next minute listing off all of the session musicians that joined him for this project. But it's a testament to what he's doing, people wanting to seek him out and to work with him. Talking about the Murder Capital earlier on this week, that's another outfit that establishing themselves through that do-it-yourself tradition. And Bartees really, coming from the underground and being where he's at in that short span of time is a testament to what he's doing creatively and stylistically what he's bringing to the table. This new record, Horror, a lot of it's in the title. It's a bit heavier, bit darker, and I feel like more than anything, he's working with sounds that are more funky and more electronic than anything that he's done before. You still get that big country and indie rock influence. I love the way that he brings those together and bring those two sounds together and the way that they inform the rest of the music. But this is a record where he's really taking some risks. He's really putting himself out there. A song like Lovers is a perfect example. I don't think he's done anything like this before in his career. So I love that track. I'm loving the breezy sounds of a song like Sober, very much influenced by, I hear a lot of people saying Fleetwood Mac, and I don't disagree with that at all. And he even talks about it. He's like, yeah, like I love the band. He's like, I love everything. You know, this is a guy that cites Block Party as an influence, 50 Cent as an influence. He's all over the place, but he's able to bring it together in such a wonderfully cohesive way that again, I would argue, I don't think that there's many people that can handle what he's doing the way he's doing it as well as he does. Lyrically, talk about his experiences and the way that his upbringing and his experience informs all of that. I love that this record is about facing your fears. A song like Sober, again, is a perfect example of that, of having to take a hard look at yourself oftentimes, or having to take a hard look at your situation and just being honest with yourself. That's what this record really is about. I love, at times, he'll focus on the Black experience in America. A song like Baltimore leads off with just a gut-wrenching line. I want to read this. When I think about places I could live, I wonder if one's good enough to raise a few Black kids. It just breaks my heart. You know, it's something that I will never understand, the Black experience in America. But he writes in a way that makes you empathetic, that makes you want to understand, that makes you, just want to go out there and to make the world a better place. And I love that universal quality in his lyricism as well. There's a lot that any listener on this record can identify with. Again, going back to the song Sober, I've had moments in my life where I've had my struggles, unfortunately, and thankfully have been able to dig myself out of those holes. But again, it's that taking a hard look at yourself and knowing that you can be better, and knowing that, these are the changes that you need to make in order to do that really is at the core of this record and what I love about it. So I'm excited to get into the track list here. Too Much is your opening track, breezy acoustic riff with lots of background texture. I think I cannot think of the instrument that him and Jack were playing around with, or the equipment that they were playing around with, but I know that this particular piece of equipment is very rare. Jack happened to have one. He said it wasn't working very well, and Bartees was just like, hell man, like let's just put the song through it and see what comes out. And you get this Too Much, and it's a wonderful track, definitely like a big pop influence. Something I love about the guy as well. Like, he is, for all of his hardcore background, for as heavy as his sound can be, he is not afraid to go with that light pop flair. And like most things, like just about everything he does it incredibly well. I love the way that the background texture clears with the drum kick, and then you just get this mid-tempo feel-good indie rock track. Mellow vocal with a little bit of reverb. I love the middle eight. You get this hip-hop driven middle eight. Song kind of just like takes a quick left turn and then return. Track rocks hard for a little bit as it nears the end, and then you get that feel of the opening to finish off. But a lot that's happening in a very short span of time. He's wonderful at doing that. Hit It, Quit It is your second track. Bartees has the ability to be tender, but he also has the ability to kind of be in your face. This is one of those tracks. That's what I love about it. Light, funky bass, bit of disco. The guitar is very subdued on this track. I really like the production, its presence. It's going to take a garage rock turn in the chorus. So, just an excellent combination of sounds there. And when it comes back from that rock and roll chorus, you get a little more of a enhanced like new disco flair in the track. Coda rocks to crescendo. Really kind of reminded me a bit of Chromeo and what that outfit does. Just a wonderful track. And it comes at a great time leading into your third track, Sober. Certainly a highlight on this record. Toning things down a little bit, bringing down the energy. You got this breezy acoustic 70s California rock style track. Heavier electric guitar works in as the track progresses. I love the light touch in the drums at play there. Latin influences as well at work on this track, so I really enjoyed that. The tempo is going to pick up in the back half, and it takes just a soft drum-driven turn in the coda. Very unique song. Enjoyed that leading into Baltimore, your fourth track. Mellow, down-tempo acoustic piano and drums. Great slide element at play on this track. Just a big Americana drive. And with the title and everything, it reminded me of Counting Crows. They have that track, Raining in Baltimore, which, it's not going to sound quite like this track. It really doesn't sound like it at all. But I think the mood, the feeling is very comparable. And I loved that sonically too with the Americana Drive. It definitely made me think of that band. One of my favorites. Just wonderful pensive lyrics. Again, I read that opening line to you, and it just, like, the first time I heard that, it felt like someone ripped my guts out. I was like, oh man, really very powerful. Coda rocks with a fuzzy, chaotic guitar solo. It's kind of a cool turn that this song takes, leading into your fifth track, Lie 95. Muted acoustic riff and vocal and harmonies are going to open this track up. Light synths and electro percussive elements that are going to work in as well. Chorus rocks out with big fuzzy guitars. I love the mid-tempo stomping drums that are at work on this track, kind of picking up the energy at a good moment in this record coming off of Sober in Baltimore. Wants Needs is your sixth track. Driving electric guitar and vocal reminds me of alternative rock in the early 2000s is really where my head went with this. Drums keep a driving pace on the track. It makes it so danceable, honestly. It's one of my favorite things about this song. Reminds me of Phoenix a little bit. Great band there. Mellow arpeggiated guitar opens up a stellar middle eight. Rock and roll meets R&B in that part of the song, and then big solo to close in the coda. Lovers is your seventh track. I love this song, and it might be, again, the most far out there thing that he has done on record to date. Dark synths fade in, twinkly sci-fi style synths work in, and then you just get this driving bass drum and hi-hat takes hold. The vocal is incredible on this song. It's got influences of drum and bass, UK garage. I love the electronic feel of this song. Doomsday Buttercup is your eighth track. I love the song title. Gentle arpeggiated guitar, backed by just thick, warm rhythm. I love the production on that. Bass takes hold for a little bit, for just an intoxicating feel on this song. Reverts back to a minimal atmosphere, and then back to the kind of just that rhythmic driven feel. Coda shifts to like avant-garde jazz. It's I like the back end of the songs, the codas, and the way that he plays around with those and gets experimental. 17 is your ninth track. Big vocal and arpeggiated electric guitar, lush strings and soft mid-tempo rhythm. I really enjoyed that element of the track. Those strings are amazing. I love the way they swell beautifully throughout the track. And this thing at about 2 minutes and 15 seconds in is going to take a turn and rock out. Loop Defenders is your 10th track. Subdued production on the drums and just a chill groove in the bass. Really enjoyed that. Love the jazz influence combined with hip hop. A little bit of reggae guitar as well. Chorus takes a moody turn. Light industrial textures that are working in there. And we got another coda where he just kind of takes off and lets loose. Really enjoyed that. North Gun is your 11th track, penultimate track. Electro punk feel out the gate. Big vocal and rhythm, soft arpeggiated guitar that's working around in the background. So I really enjoyed that dynamic and production there. And then your coda is going to take a really unique atmospheric shift to close. And then Backseat Banton is your 12th track. Pop and soul-driven piano, breakbeat percussion, just a catchy, feel-good rock song. Chorus rocks out a bit more. You got this middle eight that's very piano-driven. I enjoyed the hell out of that. And a nice number to close out this record. This is probably my favorite record of the year. This is the first album that we're going to get into the nines. I'm going to give this thing a 9.2 out of 10. I really enjoyed the hell out of this record. It took me a long time to put this piece together just because I wanted it to be as thoughtful as possible. I wanted it to be a reflection of the hard work that this guy is putting in to his art. And I think if you haven't had a chance to enjoy this album already, you guys are going to dig this thing. I hope you enjoy this record. I hope you find this review helpful as well. Please like this video, share it, subscribe to the channel, do all the things to help me blow this project up in 2025. And stay tuned throughout the week for more album reviews, and tune into Classic Wax on Thursday nights at 8 p.m. Mountain Standard Time. Forgot to vinyl please this thing. Obviously, we're going to vinyl please it if it's a 9.2 out of 10. But we will see you next time on the Beat Sessions.